Commander James Stone stood motionless before the giant screen, his weathered face illuminated by the harsh glow of emergency broadcasts. The images showed his home colony of New Haven burning. Not just burning, being systematically destroyed by Imperial warships. Their purple-tinted energy beams carved through buildings like paper, while massive explosions turned residential areas into craters. He watched as 30 years of human achievement on New Haven turned to ash. The colony had been humanity's pride, a perfect blend of technology and nature, with its famous crystal domes housing millions of settlers. Now those same domes shattered like glass bubbles, exposing countless innocent civilians to the vacuum of space. "Sir," his AI assistant's voice broke through his thoughts. "Final casualty estimates are coming in. Population of New Haven at time of attack, 4.2 million. Current survivors." The AI paused, something it never did. 812 confirmed survivors. "Sir." Stone's fingers dug into his palms until they bled, but his face remained calm. Too calm. The kind of calm that comes before a storm that would reshape galaxies. The Imperial message played again on the screen. Their ambassador, tall and proud in their ornate uniform, spoke with absolute certainty. "Let this serve as a lesson to all Earth colonies. The Empire has ruled this galaxy for 10,000 years. Your species is but an infant, barely able to crawl among the stars. Submit to Imperial rule, or watch as we cleanse your worlds one by one. You have 24 hours to surrender Earth and all its colonies." In the command center of Ranger Station Alpha, officers rushed around Stone, preparing reports, sending messages, trying to coordinate with other colonies. But Stone just stood there, his mind racing through memories of New Haven. His daughter's first steps in the botanical gardens. His wife's research lab where she developed crops that could feed millions. His son's graduation at the Central Academy. All gone. "Sir," Captain Rogers approached carefully. "Earth Command is requesting your presence at the Emergency Council. They're considering the Empire's terms." Stone finally moved, turning to face his subordinate. "Are they?" His voice was quiet, but it cut through the noise of the command center like a blade. "The Empire just killed millions of our people, and they're considering surrender." He walked to his tactical station, pressing a series of commands. The main screen changed to show the locations of all Ranger units across human space. 120 elite teams, the best warriors humanity had ever produced. Each team capable of taking down an army. Each Ranger trained to operate alone in hostile territory for years if necessary. "Send this message to all Ranger units," Stone commanded. "This is Commander Stone. The Empire has destroyed New Haven Colony and murdered millions of civilians. They demand our surrender within 24 hours. Here is my response. Operation Vengeance is now active. All Rangers are hereby authorized to engage Imperial targets at will. No restrictions, no mercy. Show them why humanity survived Earth's darkest ages. Show them why we thrived on a dozen deadly worlds. Show them why the Rangers are feared even by our own people." He paused, looking at the images of New Haven one last time. "The Empire thinks they're punishing us, teaching us a lesson. They don't understand that humans don't break under pressure. We evolve, we adapt, we overcome, and when you kill our families," his voice turned to ice, "we become death itself." The message sent, Stone turned to his staff. "Get me everything we have on Imperial command structures. Their bases, their supply lines, their leadership. The Empire just made the biggest mistake in their 10,000-year history. They chose to make humanity their enemy." He looked at the tactical display showing Imperial territory. Vast, unconquered for millennia, seemingly invincible. Stone allowed himself a small, cold smile. They're about to learn why that was a fatal error. Across human space, Rangers received his message. And in the darkness between the stars, the hunt began. The Ranger base on Mars buzzed with activity as Commander Stone walked through its underground halls. His boots echoed against metal floors as he made his way to the secure meeting room. Inside waited the three people who would help him tear an empire apart. Tom Wilson sat in the corner, so still he seemed to fade into the shadows. They call him Ghost because no security system had ever detected him. His last mission involved stealing data from an Imperial fortress. The Empire still didn't know he had been there. "Commander," Ghost nodded, his voice quiet as always. "I heard about New Haven. They'll pay for that." At the room's main table, Maria Rodriguez worked on what looked like a simple metal ball. Her nickname, Iron, came from her ability to turn any piece of technology into a weapon. As Stone watched, she split the ball open, revealing a maze of complex circuits. "Just a little present for our Imperial friends," Iron said, not looking up from her work. "They think their shields can stop anything. Let's see them stop this." The third person stood by the window overlooking the Martian desert. Marcus Anderson, Doc, had been a medical officer before joining the Rangers. Now he used his knowledge of anatomy to ensure every shot his sniper rifle fired was fatal. "I studied their biology," Doc said, turning from the window. "The Empire's soldiers aren't invincible. They bleed just like anyone else." Stone was about to speak when the door opened again. A tall figure in an Imperial uniform stepped in. Every Ranger in the room reached for their weapons, but Stone raised his hand. "This is Kira," he said, "former Imperial command officer. Now our key to destroying them from within." Kira removed her helmet, revealing features similar to a human's but with silvery skin that seemed to shimmer. "The Empire thinks they're gods," she said, her voice filled with disgust. "I watched them destroy peaceful worlds for not bowing deep enough. New Haven was the last straw." Stone activated the room's holographic display, showing a map of Imperial space. "Thanks to Kira, we know their weaknesses. The Empire controls too much territory to defend it all. They rely on fear to keep systems in line. We're going to turn that fear against them." The map zoomed in on key Imperial installations. "Ghost, you'll infiltrate their command centers. Plant Iron's devices. Doc, you'll eliminate key leaders when they try to escape. Kira will guide us through their security." "What about Earth Command?" Iron asked, sealing her device. "They're still talking about surrender." Stone's expression hardened. "Earth Command can talk all they want. We're Rangers. We don't surrender to bullies, no matter how big they are." He pointed to different sectors on the map. "The Empire's never faced an enemy like us. They're used to fighting armies, fleets. We're none of those. We're hunters. Every base they have, every ship, every leader, they'll all wake up wondering if we're coming for them today. And the best part," Ghost smiled slightly, "they'll be right to worry." Kira stepped forward, pointing to specific locations. "These are their most important bases, heavily defended. Impossible to attack directly." She smiled. "Perfect targets for Rangers. One more thing," Stone said, his voice deadly serious. "The Empire records everything. Every base we hit, every leader we take down, broadcasted across their networks. Let them see their mighty empire fall piece by piece." Doc checked his rifle, the movement smooth and practiced. "Psychological warfare. Hit them in their pride." "Exactly." Stone nodded. "The Empire's ruled through fear for 10,000 years. Time to show them what real fear feels like." They spent the next hour planning their first strike. As the meeting ended, Stone looked at his team. The best of the best, each with their own reasons to hate the Empire, all ready to fight. "Remember," he said finally, "this isn't just about revenge. It's about justice. It's about showing the galaxy that no empire, no matter how old or powerful, can murder innocent people without consequences." The Rangers nodded, their faces set with determination. In a few hours, they would begin their hunt. The Empire was about to learn why Rangers were the most feared warriors in human space. The Imperial supply base on Centauri Prime filled 3 valleys. Massive warehouses stretched for miles, holding enough weapons and supplies to fuel the Empire's war machine. Guards patrolled in groups of 4, their armor gleaming under the light of 3 moons. They felt safe behind their energy shields and automated defense systems. They were wrong. Ghost moved through the shadows between sensor beams, his stealth suit making him nearly invisible. Above, on a ridge overlooking the base, Doc watched through his sniper scope. Iron waited near the base's power plant, her special devices ready. Commander Stone and Kira monitored everything from their cloaked ship. Security patrol approaching your position, Ghost. Kira warned through the comm. She watched the Imperial security feeds they'd hacked. 3 guards, standard formation. Ghost pressed himself against a wall as the guards passed within inches of him. One guard stopped, looking around with a puzzled expression. But Ghost was already gone, moving toward the central command building. Iron status. Stone's voice was calm. Charges placed at power junction points. Iron replied quietly. They won't know what hit them. Doc's voice came next. Target building isolated. All escape routes covered. Stone checked the time. In 5 minutes, they would show the Empire why you don't anger humanity. Remember, we're not just destroying the base. We're sending a message. Ghost. Ready to upload the package. Stone took a deep breath. Execute. The night erupted into chaos. Iron's devices activated, sending electromagnetic pulses through the base's power grid. Shields flickered and died. Security systems went dark. Emergency lights cast red shadows everywhere. In the confusion, Ghost reached the communication center. The guards inside never saw him. Silent and quick, he disabled them without killing. They needed to be alive to spread fear later. He plugged Kira's special device into their systems. Upload starting, he reported. Across the base, every screen, every communication device, every holographic display came to life. They showed the destruction of New Haven, the deaths of millions, the Empire's cruel message demanding surrender. Then Commander Stone's face appeared on every screen. To all Imperial forces, he said, his voice cold. You believed humanity would break, that we would kneel before your power. Instead, we bring you this message. We are coming for all of you. As he spoke, Iron's larger charges detonated. Warehouses full of Imperial weapons exploded in carefully controlled chains. Warships waiting for supplies were trapped as their landing pads collapsed. The entire base began to fall apart, not through blind destruction, but with surgical precision. Security teams moving to the emergency bunker, Kira reported. I see them, Doc answered. His rifle cracked 3 times. The Imperial commanders trying to reach safety fell. Not dead, but they wouldn't be walking for a long time. Stone's message continued playing. Every base, every ship, every commander who supported the attack on New Haven, we will find you all. There will be nowhere to hide. Ghost extracted safely, leaving behind Imperial officers who would wake up later with Rangers' insignias carved into their armor. Iron's devices continued their work, spreading through the base's systems like a virus, destroying decades of stored military data. Within 30 minutes, the largest Imperial supply base in the sector was in ruins. No one had died. That wasn't the point of this mission. This was about sending a message. As their ship lifted off, cloaked from Imperial sensors, they watched rescue ships arriving from nearby bases. Stone knew what they would find. A destroyed base, disabled but alive commanders, and fear. Most importantly, they would find uncertainty, the knowledge that humans could strike anywhere, at any time. Message sent, Ghost said quietly. Stone nodded. And this is just the beginning. The Empire thought they would break our spirit. Instead, they created their worst nightmare. On his command screen, reports were already coming in. The footage of New Haven's destruction, followed by their attack, was spreading across Imperial networks. No amount of censorship could stop it. The Empire's own soldiers were sharing it, whispering about the human Rangers who could attack anywhere. Next target? Doc asked, cleaning his rifle. Stone looked at the map of Imperial space, now marked with dozens of potential targets. We've shown them we can hurt them. Now we show them we can destroy them. Plot a course to the Imperial shipyards. The real hunt begins. Kira stood before the holographic display in the Rangers' mobile command center, her silver skin reflecting the blue glow of star maps. Around her, the team watched as she pointed to 20 specific points across Imperial space. These, she said, her voice filled with excitement, are the Empire's quantum communication hubs. They're the reason the Empire can control so much territory. Without them, everything falls apart. Stone leaned forward, studying the locations. After 3 weeks of hitting Imperial targets, they had caused damage, but not enough. This could change everything. Explain. The Empire's too big for normal communications, Kira continued. These hubs use quantum entanglement to send instant messages across thousands of light years. Only 20 exist because they're incredibly hard to build. She smiled. Destroy these, and entire sectors lose contact with Imperial command. Iron walked closer to the display, her eyes narrowing. Those are the most heavily defended locations in Imperial space. Each one has a fleet protecting it, which means they're afraid of losing them, Doc said from his corner. He was cleaning his rifle, but his eyes never left the display, afraid of what we might do if we found them. Ghost appeared from the shadows where he'd been studying the defenses. Their security looks impressive, but it's all focused on stopping armies, fleets, not small teams. Stone watched the data streaming across the display. Fleet movements, guard rotations, shield frequencies, everything Kira had stolen from Imperial databases. A plan began forming in his mind. How do the quantum links work? He asked Kira. If we destroy one hub, what happens to the others? Nothing directly, she replied. Each hub is independent, but lose enough of them. She made a crushing motion with her hand. The Empire can't coordinate its forces, can't respond to threats, can't maintain control. Stone stood straight, his decision made. Then we hit them all. Operation Blackout begins now. He touched the display, zooming in on the nearest hub. We'll start here, on the edge of their space. Make them think we're just hitting random targets. By the time they realize what we're really doing, it'll be too late. Iron finished. She held up one of her devices. I can modify these to overload their quantum systems, make it look like accidents. Good. Stone nodded. Because we're not just going to destroy their communication network. We're going to make them watch it happen. Show every Imperial citizen how their mighty empire can be brought down by a handful of humans. The team spent hours planning their attack. Each hub would require a different approach. Some could be infiltrated by Ghost. Others would need Iron's technical skills. A few would require Doc's precision shooting. All would fall. What about Imperial reinforcements? Doc asked, finally looking up from his rifle. Kira pulled up more data. That's the beauty of quantum hubs. They're so sensitive that ships can't jump to light speed near them. Reinforcements will take hours to arrive. And by then, we'll be gone. Stone looked at his team. 3 weeks of constant missions had made them even sharper, more deadly. The Empire's security couldn't stop them. Their weapons couldn't hurt them. Their soldiers couldn't catch them. The Empire thinks size equals strength, he said quietly. They've spent 10,000 years building the biggest military force in history. But they forgot something important. What's that? Iron asked, though her smile suggested she knew the answer. The bigger they are, the harder they fall. Stone marked the first target on their map, and we're about to show them just how far they can fall. Once we destroy their communication network, the Empire won't just be deaf and blind. They'll be in chaos. Ghost checked his stealth suit's systems. When do we start? Stone looked at the image of the first quantum hub, floating in the display. So much power, so much arrogance, all built on 20 vulnerable points across space. We start now. The Empire wanted to teach humanity a lesson. His eyes hardened. Let's teach them one instead. About how the smallest blade, striking at the right point, can bring down the mightiest giant. The Rangers moved to their positions, ready to begin the next phase of their hunt. The Empire was about to learn that their greatest strength, their vast size and complex organization, was about to become their greatest weakness. The first quantum hub exploded in a brilliant flash of light. On the bridge of their stealth ship, Stone watched the explosion reflect off his team's faces. 1 down, 19 to go. Status report, he ordered. Hub completely destroyed. Iron confirmed, checking her readings. Made it look like a power overload. They won't know we were here until it's too late. Ghost's voice came through the comm as he returned from planting the charges. Imperial response ships are jumping in. But they're looking in the wrong place. We're clear to move. The Empire's reaction was exactly what they expected. Confusion. Denial. Then panic as they realized one of their precious communication hubs was gone. But they still didn't understand what was really happening. 3 days later, the second hub went dark. This time, Doc took the shot from 2 kilometers away, his special bullet-carrying Iron's destructive package straight into the hub's core. The explosion was smaller, but the effect was the same. 2 sectors now cut off from Imperial Command. Kira reported, updating their tactical display. Local commanders are trying to coordinate using normal communications, but they're too slow, too limited. Stone nodded. Then we move faster. Next target. The third hub fell to Ghost's infiltration, the fourth to Iron's technical skills. By the time they destroyed the 5th hub, the Empire finally realized what was happening. But it was too late. Imperial Command is in chaos, Kira said, listening to their scrambled communications. They're trying to reinforce the remaining hubs, but they can't move ships fast enough. And every hub we destroy makes it harder for them to coordinate. The team worked with mechanical precision. Each hub required a different approach, but the result was always the same. Destruction. Chaos. Fear spreading through Imperial ranks. Stone made sure every attack was recorded, every explosion broadcast across Imperial networks. He wanted their enemies to watch as their mighty empire crumbled piece by piece. Incoming message. Iron called out after their 10th successful strike. Multiple Imperial commanders are requesting surrender terms. They know they're cut off. They're afraid we'll come for them next. Good, Stone replied. Tell them survival depends on how quickly they stand down their forces, and make sure every surrender is broadcast across whatever communication channels they have left. The Empire's response grew more desperate with each hub they destroyed. They tried moving entire fleets to protect the remaining hubs, but that only left other targets vulnerable, and the Rangers struck those instead. Look at this, Doc said, pointing to the tactical display. 3 Imperial battle groups fighting each other near the 15th hub. They got confused about who was friend or enemy without central coordination. Ghost emerged from his planning corner. The bigger they are, the harder they fall. Just like you said, Commander. Stone watched as another hub winked out on their display. The Empire spent 10,000 years building the biggest military force in history. Never thought about what would happen if they couldn't control it all. The destruction of the final hubs happened almost simultaneously. Iron's devices, planted weeks in advance, activated at once. 5 massive explosions lit up Imperial space like new stars being born. Last confirmation coming in, Kira announced, her voice tight with emotion. All quantum hubs destroyed. The Empire's communication network is completely down. On their tactical display, vast sections of Imperial space turned dark as communications failed. Decades of absolute control vanished in less than a month. The mighty Empire, which had ruled through fear and overwhelming force, was now blind, deaf, and divided. Message from Earth Command, Iron said suddenly. The Empire's High Command is sending emergency signals on all frequencies. There, she paused, reading the message twice to be sure. They're requesting immediate ceasefire and offering unconditional surrender. Stone looked at his team, at the faces of those who had helped bring down an empire. Send them our response. Surrender accepted. Punishment pending. His eyes hardened. The Empire thought they could break humanity. Instead, we broke them. The Rangers had done what no force in 10,000 years had managed. They had brought the Empire to its knees. But Stone knew their work wasn't finished. Justice for New Haven was still to come. The Imperial Palace on their capital world sparkled under 3 suns. Once, its crystal towers had symbolized power and eternal rule. Now, it was where the Empire would formally surrender. Commander Stone walked through its grand halls, his ranger boots echoing on floors that had never before felt human steps. Behind him came his team. Ghost moving silently, Iron studying the palace's defenses, Doc watching every shadow, and Kira leading them to the throne room. "The Imperial Council is waiting," Kira said softly. "All 50 high commanders. They still can't believe a single ranger team did this." Stone's face showed no emotion. They're about to believe it. The throne room doors opened, revealing a vast chamber filled with Imperial leaders. Their once proud uniforms seemed dimmer now, their postures less certain. The Emperor himself sat on a throne that looked too big for him. "The human representatives," the Emperor announced, his voice shaking slightly. "We are prepared to discuss terms of surrender." Stone walked to the center of the room. He didn't bow, didn't show any respect for their ceremony. "There's nothing to discuss. You surrendered unconditionally. Now you'll face the consequences." "We are still the Empire," one commander shouted, standing up. "You can't just..." "Can't what?" Stone's quiet voice cut through the room like a blade. "Can't destroy your communications. Already did that. Can't break your military. Did that too." His eyes swept the room. "Can't make you feel the same fear you spread to others. Watch me." He nodded to Iron, who activated a device. The palace's massive screens came to life, showing New Haven's destruction from multiple angles. The Imperial leaders were forced to watch their own cruelty. 4,200,000 people, Stone said as the footage played. Civilians, children, all dead because you wanted to teach humanity a lesson. He smiled coldly. "Well, lesson learned. Now it's our turn to teach." The Emperor rose, trying to maintain dignity. "What are your terms?" "First," Stone began, "every commander involved in the New Haven attack will face trial. Human courts. No exceptions." Ghost appeared next to several specific commanders, making them jump. They were the ones Kira had identified as the attack's planners. Within seconds, Rangers materialized throughout the room, surrounding targeted leaders. "Second," Stone continued, "the Empire will be dissolved. Each sector gets self-rule, with representatives in a new galactic council. No more central control. No more conquests." "That's impossible," another commander protested. "The Empire has ruled for 10,000 years. You can't just end it." "We already did," Doc said from his position. "Your empire died the moment you targeted civilians. This is just making it official." Stone walked up to the Emperor's throne. "Third, and most important, every Imperial world will build a memorial to New Haven. Every child in your former empire will learn what happened when you chose to murder innocent people. Every year, on the anniversary of the attack, your worlds will observe a day of remembrance." The Emperor slumped in his throne. Around the room, Imperial commanders looked at each other in despair. Their mighty empire, broken by a single team of human rangers. "And if we refuse?" the Emperor asked weakly. Stone's eyes turned cold. "Then we finish what we started. You've seen what 5 rangers could do to your empire. Imagine what 100 teams could do. Imagine nowhere being safe, no world beyond our reach." He paused. "Imagine fear becoming your constant companion, just like you did to others." The room fell silent. On the screens, New Haven's destruction continued playing, a reminder of why they were here. Finally, the Emperor nodded. "We accept all terms." "Good choice," Stone said. He turned to leave, then stopped. "One more thing. The Rangers will be watching. Forever. If your people ever think about rebuilding the Empire, remember this day. Remember how quickly you fell. Remember why. As they left the throne room, Iron looked at their commander. Is it enough? For New Haven. Stone watched as other Ranger teams began securing the palace. It's not about being enough. It's about making sure it never happens again. He looked back at the fallen Empire's leaders. They wanted to show the galaxy their power. Instead, they showed everyone their weakness. And we showed the galaxy something else. What's that? Ghost asked. That humanity doesn't break. We break others. 1 year after the Empire's surrender, Commander Stone stood at the New Haven Memorial on Earth. The massive monument stretched toward the sky, built from pieces of the destroyed colony. Names of the millions lost were carved in spiraling lines, catching the morning sunlight. "Thought I'd find you here," Ghost said, appearing silently beside him. Like Stone, he wore his formal Ranger uniform, medals gleaming. "Just thinking," Stone replied, touching one of the names, "about how much has changed in a year." Around them, the galaxy was different now. The Empire's collapse had led to a new era. The Galactic Council chamber had opened yesterday, with representatives from 100 formerly enslaved worlds taking their seats. Even some former Imperial worlds had joined, after rejecting their old ways. Iron and Doc arrived next, followed by Kira. They all wore the same silver pin, a small image of New Haven's broken dome. It had become their team's symbol, recognized across the galaxy. "The trials finished yesterday," Kira reported. "The last Imperial commander responsible for New Haven's destruction has been sentenced. Life imprisonment on a mining world." She smiled slightly. "A former slave world. Poetic justice." Iron looked up at the memorial. The New Haven Memorial Network is complete too. Every former Imperial world has built one. The education programs are running. No child in the galaxy will forget what happened here, or what happened after, Doc added. The Rangers' response is already legendary. They're telling stories about us on every world. Stone nodded slowly. The stories weren't just about revenge. They were about justice, about how a small team of humans had brought down an empire that had seemed invincible, about how the Rangers had changed the galaxy forever. "Latest reports from the border regions?" he asked. "Peaceful," Ghost answered. "The new defense treaties are working. Worlds are cooperating instead of fighting. Turns out the Empire was causing more conflicts than preventing them." They stood in silence for a moment, remembering. Then a small group of children approached, led by their teacher. The children wore school uniforms from different worlds, human, former Imperial, and others. "Commander Stone," the teacher asked nervously, Would you tell them about New Haven, about what happened?" Stone looked at the children's faces, some human, some with silver skin like Kira's, some with features he'd once considered enemy, all looking up at him with curiosity and respect. He knelt down to their level. "I'll tell you a story," he said quietly, "about a place called New Haven, where people from Earth built something beautiful among the stars. And I'll tell you what happened when some people thought they could destroy it without consequences." The children gathered closer as Stone spoke. He told them about New Haven's crystal domes, its gardens, its schools, about the day it was destroyed, about how the Rangers had responded. "But most importantly," he finished, "I'll tell you what we learned. That no empire, no matter how powerful, can stand when it chooses cruelty over justice. That size doesn't equal strength, and that humanity will always stand against those who harm the innocent." As the children left, still talking excitedly about the story, Stone's team gathered around him. "Think we made a difference?" Iron asked softly. Stone watched the children walking away. In their group, former enemies walked together as friends. The galaxy had changed in ways even he hadn't expected. "We did more than make a difference," he said. "We made sure nothing like New Haven ever happens again." Above them, ships from dozens of worlds passed through Earth's sky, Trade ships, diplomatic vessels, cultural exchanges, all part of the new peace. The Rangers had torn down an empire of fear and helped build something better in its place. The Empire wanted to teach humanity a lesson about power, Stone said, touching the memorial one last time. Instead, we taught the galaxy a lesson about justice. His team nodded. They were still Rangers, still watching, still ready to defend the peace they'd helped create. But now they protected a galaxy where cooperation replaced conquest, where former enemies worked together, and where the memory of New Haven ensured that power would never again go unchecked. The greatest victory wasn't destroying the Empire, it was building something better from its ruins.